Well, as you may or may not know, even though Justice League hasn't been released in most theaters yet to general audiences, a lot of, critics and bloggers have already seen it in private press screenings and critic screenings. And Warner Brothers put down an embargo, meaning that, they aren't allowing people, press, to release their full written or video reviews until a certain date, which I think now is like Wednesday morning / Tuesday night or something like that. They also had a social media embargo saying that, which basically means they put an embargo for when people could tweet out their reactions. But they released that on Friday morning, like Friday, like 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And I read a lot of them. And they're mostly pretty good. I want to read some of them here to you, or a lot of them. However, because it's a DC movie, there's actually websites and YouTube channels trying to spin it as if reactions are mixed. Because the social media reactions, though I think they were mostly positive, they mentioned that, there were some flaws and stuff like that, but most of them, none of them said the movie was bad at all. So, to me, that doesn't mean mixed. Mixed is like if you have, like, an even number of good / bad reviews, like if it's kind of all over the place. And the Twitter reactions, the social media reactions, they weren't all over the place. They all basically said, the general consensus is, it was a good movie, a fun movie, but it had flaws. Which to me is actually pretty positive. And there were actually some websites that were accurate in saying that they were mostly positive in reflecting that. And I'm going to read some of them here, so let's go through them. Paul Shirley, this is his direct Twitter account. I have seen the film twice and I already bought tickets to see it again. Ooh, that's an endorsement, right? That should tell you all you need to know about whether or not you should see it in theaters. Now that's very positive. Of course, he did a lot of rapid fire tweets, talking a bit more in depth about the movie, and, that it had its imperfections. There are plenty of Easter eggs and some genuinely cool sequences, and the Whedon banter is a benefit to the character interactions. Whatever you dislike, you'll still love the League. The flaws rest mainly on the rapid-fire pace, lack of suspense, and a villain that fails on every level to be scary, formidable, or memorable. Whoa. Thankfully, the League does not fall in that category. That's unfortunate to hear. I mean, I'm not mad at him. I mean, if that's how he feels, it's how he feels. I was hoping, Steppenwolf is a general from outer space who helps Darkseid conquer universes. That's pretty cool, right? And he's cool in the comics. Steppenwolf hasn't had that many appearances in the comics. When he's shown up, he's been cool. So I was hoping the movie would do him justice. Of course, I haven't seen the movie yet. When I see it, I might disagree. But according to him, the villain is a weakness. Aaron Sager says, so I saw Justice League twice, still under embargo, but this is a fun superhero flick, funny but still hero adventure, reminds me of Justice League Unlimited episode, likable interaction amongst recognizable heroes, there is a villain problem, no worse than Marvel. So that's someone else who says there's a villain problem. And of course he's alluding to the fact, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of course, has been incredibly successful in the movies, but a consistent criticism is that most of their villains in their movies, the majority, have been forgettable. And that's debatable whether you agree with that or not. I tend to agree with it, but that's me. But according to him and the previous tweet, the guy's tweet we just read, that's two people saying it's a weak villain, so I don't know, that might be a problem. Angie Hahn. Justice League is fine. It's more coherent and less idiosyncratic than Batman vs. Superman, which I loved. That's right, I loved it too. See, somebody else is another person. I'm not the only person on Earth who loved BVS. Which I love, so make of that what you will, and tries very hard to lighten up on the gloom and doom of the DC Universe. There are jokes in everything. Jenna Bush. I saw Justice League. Here's what I thought. There are a ton of things I'd change, but it comes down to this. I had a blast. I got to see the team together and I had fun watching it. Ezra Miller steals the movie and Wonder Woman was perfect. Nate Braille. Justice League is the DC team-up you've been waiting for. I had so much fun from beginning to end. The expansion of DC mythology will make fans go nuts. Superman, though. He's in the movie, yes. And of course, the New Gods, and I'll bet Green Lantern, it's great. The DC Cosmic Universe is awesome, and Justice League is going to be a great introduction to us to see it in live action. In the big screen, anyways. I think DC, a lot of this stuff has been on the DC TV shows, I think, or some of it. But we're about to see it in the movies. Steven Weintraub. I have a lot to say about Justice League, but we'll wait till it's released to really get into it. But two important things to know. Stay till the very end of the credits, and Jason Momoa is awesome as Aquaman. Brandon Davis. I loved Justice League. Josh L. Dickey. I think this is the only negative one, like just completely negative review I've seen on Twitter, that is. Nothing could save Justice League from its loud, ugly, tacky self. Not Wonder Woman, not wide-eyed Ezra Miller, not Joss Whedon's quippy, tear down and rebuild, and Henry Cavill's mustache is an actual issue. They gave him Uncanny Valley face. Oof, guys, it's a rough ride. Uncanny Valley is referring to, how do I describe that? In like robots and AI and animatronic, robotics and amusement parks and stuff, there's this thing called the Uncanny Valley where the robots, it's how much they resemble actual live humans. And that's the Uncanny Valley, basically. And, there's a range. You can be really good on the valley, look almost human-like, lifelike, or you can look, really crude and whatever. But that's the Uncanny Valley, more or less. Peter Sciretta. Justice League is better than expected, but not a home run. The interaction between the team is a lot of fun. The film sends the DCEU in a hopeful direction in line with where the brand should be headed. Flash and Aquaman steal the show. Cyborg and Villain are the weaklings. I don't know. That's 3 people saying that Steppenwolf's bad. Oh, that doesn't bode well. I hope, if that's true, I hope they get their act together when Darkseid comes, because he's, Darkseid deserves to be a good villain. Very good, well realized. Eric Davis. Justice League is better than BVS and Suicide Squad. It's lean, mean, and packed with superhero action. I dug most of its lighter moments, and I think it has one of the best action sequences ever in a DCU movie. And of course, Wonder Woman steals the show. Very differing opinions on who steals the show and who doesn't. I have a feeling that means that all of them get some time to shine. Which is great. It's a team movie, right? Ensemble. And you want everybody in the team to look good. Rob Keys. The Good. Justice League is my favorite DCEU movie. Ooh, better than Wonder Woman. That's brave. Terry Schwartz. I am genuinely happy to report Justice League is a lot of fun. It's not perfect and has its problems, but does the job of making you care about these characters as a team by its end. It's also very funny, in lots of unexpected ways. Perry Nemiroff. Here it goes. Justice League is super thin and has some very weak CG. I don't know if I agree with that. But it's got heart and a positive vibe that works. Overall, I had a pretty good time and am looking forward to seeing more of these characters. Connor Schwerdfeger. Ooh, I hope I didn't massacre that. Justice League is clunky and uneven as hell. But it also gets the characters right and has a lot of fun along the way. When it's over, DC's vision for these heroes going forward will make sense. It's a very small but very vital step forward. I dug it. German Lussier. Justice League, it's okay. Narratively, it's a mess. The stakes don't work and the villain isn't great. However, the heroes are great. It's funny and there's some surprisingly effective character work. I didn't love it, but there are enough good pieces to excite me for the future. Alright, I think that's enough for this video. There's definitely a lot more Twitter reactions, and if you want, you can search, type in like the Justice League hashtag or Justice League, or just type in search on Twitter Justice League reactions, and look for November 10th. November 10th, like around 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 Eastern. And then you'll see a lot of these for yourself if you like have the patience and the time to search for all that. But I think with what I've, gone over here, it's enough to get a good picture of what a lot of people have thought about it initially. Of course, the full-fledged reviews that people are going to write on websites and put in YouTube videos, those aren't out yet. Those are going to come later this week as the embargo lists for those. So late Tuesday, early Wednesday is probably when you'll start seeing a flood of those. But I think this is all mostly good. I mean, it definitely isn't perfect according to this, but it's very good. And this is great. I think this is exactly what DC needed in their movie universe, because BVS and Suicide Squad were, trashed by critics. Man of Steel 2, but not as much so. I actually think Man of Steel was, at least when it came to its Rotten Tomatoes score, fared much better than BVS and Suicide Squad. But, Wonder Woman was their first solid critical hit and financial hit, and people were wondering, is Wonder Woman the start of a shift in how DC movies are received by critics and most people in the public. And perhaps it is. It looks like Justice League's doing much better, of course, than BVS and Suicide Squad did so far. We'll see what happens when the full reviews come out. But so far, so good. And I'm happy. I'm a huge DC fan. I want them to succeed in the movies because I want them to make more movies. Although I liked, BVS, Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, I was fine with DC as it was in the movies. But they need more than just me. I can't, see every movie a million times and make the hundreds of millions of dollars with my own bank account. They need other people to feel the same way. So Justice League might accomplish that. I mean, if it could make a pretty tough crowd of people, movie critics, they're like the toughest, right? Come around. That's good. Let's see when the full reviews come out what that Rotten Tomatoes score is again. I don't know. I think it should be better than like the 20s and 30s that like BVS and Suicide Squad got. Can this actually be certified fresh? We'll see. This does make me kind of understand a bit why, with DC movies, people always like, well, many people like to assume the negative a lot of times when it does anything. Like when Warner Brothers said, we're not going to let the reviews go live until just before the movie was released. A lot of people thought that they were trying to hide reception to the movie and that it was bad. But because of these, I don't think that that's the reason. I mean, I think that while it's not perfect, they don't want any like potential for this to be seen as less than perfect because they want to make as much money as possible because DC movies have kind of a bad reputation, unfortunately. Like Wonder Woman was the only one that came out that was like critically loved. And so they don't want any, like not even one negative review to get out, I think, before the movie comes out, long enough to dissuade people from seeing it because they want this movie to have a big opening weekend. However, since none of these Twitter reviews are that bad, I don't think they have much to worry about. But I just don't think they want to take the risk. Let's just make sure that the movie is as well received as possible before people buy that ticket. Before, any critic has a chance to dissuade anyone from seeing it. It's the cautious approach. See, I don't think at this point that the movie's bad, but I do think that they're being cautious. That's why they, have the embargo so close to the release date. Now all of this is good. I mean, I know that if people think it's thin on plot and things like that, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but that wouldn't surprise me because I know Justice League, they were already filming it. And then right in the middle of filming, they did all these reshoots and they kind of, I think, did a course correction during the filming. And so I think they have to kind of rush and scramble maybe to get things together. I mean, I don't know if they had to rush since they were, well, I don't know. Maybe they did have to rush because they were, I think, doing reshoots pretty close up until the release date, like into August. And it comes out like this November. So they didn't have much of a window to edit and do post-production. If that's true, if that's accurate, the timeline. So I get that. I am disheartened to hear about Steppenwolf, as I said before. I think that DC movies have, for the most part, been very well with done a good job with their villains, giving them enough screen time to make a statement, to leave an impression, whether good or bad. But at least the villains were there. They were memorable. And I like that. But it looks like here in Justice League, that's not the case. According to this, I've not seen Justice League. I might think differently when I do. But all good stuff. I'm excited. I mean, I'm happy. I think does this mean that the movie can make $1 billion? Because, critic reviews can give a movie a boost or they can take some wind out of its sails because they can influence people. Not everybody. There are a lot of people who do not care what critics think. And, those people aren't going to be dissuaded. But there's some people who do. There's actually a lot of people who care about them. And I want this movie to make as much money as possible, maybe $1 billion. And if the critics hated it, that would threaten that. And the fact that they don't, well, I don't think they do, is I think fantastic. I love it. But anyways, great stuff. I can't wait. I think I have one more Justice League clip video to do. That will be up like tomorrow or today. I don't know. It might be too late. Does anybody care about Justice League clips anymore? I mean, by the time tonight, I think a lot of people will be seeing it in fan screenings. But whatever, maybe I should do it anyway. But anyways, if you want to see me make more videos about DC movies and TV shows and comics, please subscribe. I'm all in. Hopefully you are too. Justice League comes out November 17th. Are you going to be there? I will. I'm going to see it Thursday. And then I'm going to see it like 2 or 3 more times that Friday. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'm going to be right here on YouTube, as you know. Please stick with me and watch me grow. And you have a nice day or night. Bye.